and welcome to AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. And I'm Will Washington, but I'm never alone here on this show because joining me from a really fancy looking hotel, it's the one only Aubrey Edwards.
I probably should not have taken a sip of water when you were introducing me. That was a really bad idea because it's almost like we haven't been doing this for years together. And also, happy 2026. I'm glad that we're starting another new year together. But even better than that, and I mean, I love you, Will, but I mean this in the nicest way. Even better than that, the fact that we have 3 people on this podcast is the best possible way we could have started 2026. I am very happy to introduce our co-host back in the co-host chair. We've got Miss Nyla Rose also taking a drink of water as I'm introducing her.
Oh man, that was wild. Who timed that? That was crazy.
Who timed it? Oh my God.
I also took a sip of water as I was being introduced. I just wanted to stay on theme. The theme of 2026, I guess, is hydration. We got to take care of our minds, our bodies, our spirits.
And our skin.
And our skin. Got to take care of our skin.
Another thing we've got to take care of is our bills, because this show is actually presented by Upper Deck and the 2025 AEW SP Game Youth Set is now available, and it is the first ever AEW release packed with autographs, tech cards, and real match-used relics pulled straight from the ring, including championship gear, event banners, even a one-of-one fork from All In Texas. Grab your box at local hobby shops and hit upperdeck.com to find a store near you. I've got a box right here. Oh, look at that.
Oh, Nyla got the sponsor back.
What a pull. I got a one-of-one Penelope Ford.
Look at that. Oh, and look at that little coat. Oh, and it's signed. It's so pretty.
I'm the only one who has this, so you got to fight me if you want it.
Yeah, well, I got Deanna right here.
Oh, that's pretty lit. I like the green.
Cool.
I like the green.
Pretty cool one.
Yep. Let's see what else we got here. I got actually I got some really cool ones. And
do you have a this is a thick one. Look at this card. This is one card.
It's thick with 2 C's.
Why is it so thick? Because it's like a marquee. It's a piece of Willow's name. You can own some of Willow's name. Now she's Willow because I have her L. She's no longer Willow. She's Willow.
Yep. And like I said, these are all really cool. Again, one of one. And some of these cards here, like, again, you talk about these super thick ones. I've got these authentic fabrics and featuring Prince Nana, Stokely Hathaway, Luther, and Billy Gunn.
That's pretty cool.
That is
what a mix.
What a mix, right?
Could you imagine walking into a restaurant and seeing those 4 at a table together? Because I can't.
No, not at all. And look, this card is like super heavy, right? Because this is actually a piece of a steel chair used by Matt Jackson.
Whoa, that's cool. That's pretty sick. That's pretty sick.
If I were to guess, at one point in time, someone went, "Hey, Charlie, could you go get that chair?" And then he had to get it, saw it up, and then send it to somebody in LA to put it in a card. So
100%.
Not only has it been touched by a young buck, it's also been touched by multiple AEW staff in the process.
100%. I can believe that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it's so great. And you know what? And knowing that a lot of this got used during some of the coolest events to happen during the year that was 2025. This particular chair, by the way, actually looking at the date on this was actually from Revolution 24. This was Sting.
Ooh.
This was so if you happen to get your hands on some of the other pieces of this chair, again,
what a pull.
One of one.
What a pull. That's pretty legit.
And again, like I said, you'll want to check those out. But 2025 was such a cool year for AEW. Tony says often that it's his favorite year. And it's hard to disagree with that, with so much that we got to do, so much first time ever stuff. We got to run a stadium show in the United States. And it was cool to do that overseas. But to have done it, I almost forgot. about halfway through All In Texas, I was like, we're in Texas. Because I like in my head, I associate All In with Wembley. And so, being in this big stadium, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm overseas right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not overseas at all.
You know what made All In Texas cooler than Wembley? It's because at All In Texas, they had little go-karts to get us back and forth from Gorilla to the other places in the stadium. Whereas Wembley, they made us walk.
Oh yeah, a lot of walking at Wembley.
A lot of walking at Wembley.
What's funny about the go-karts too is I was just telling a friend about this the other day of how getting around Globe Life Field and how like sometimes somebody would just pass you in a little golf cart and you're like, hey, can I catch a ride to catering? And then you just hop on the back and then you make it. And it was great. It was fun times. We were definitely having a lot of fun backstage on those golf carts that it would probably be fun to just witness. But let's talk about some of the coolness that we got to see this year. Because again, we're talking match wise. I was thinking about some of my favorite matches, and then as I was going back through them, I realized that Aubrey refed so many of them.
Yeah, it's funny because I was reading the notes back as Stacey was preparing us for this, and I don't remember half of these matches. It's probably the ones I was in.
So you and I were clearly in the same boat. I was like, was that this year?
Was that this year? And I'm like looking at my own notes. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I did ref that. Okay, and then I look it up online, like, oh yeah, it was pretty cool.
No, we definitely outdid ourselves. Like each month, you say, how do we top that? And then we did, we did like the following month.
Constantly.
Because I'm like, oh, this match clearly happened 2 years ago. No, it was last year. Mm-hmm. Last year was a whirlwind. It was a blur. There was so much getting input into my brain.
Well, yeah, I was thinking about like, we got to run Crypto.com Arena for the first time ever, which we will be at again, by the way. AEWTix.com Revolution is coming up in Los Angeles. It's going to sneak up on you. You want to get your tickets at AEWTix.com. But we were there for Revolution last year. And it was just a top to bottom fun show. And I remember being backstage and, working on some various things, but like, the atmosphere was so cool in that building. And being in a building where so much history took place. But then looking at the card, I think one of the matches that doesn't get appreciated enough today because like both guys kind of went off in completely separate directions, but were tied to each other so hard at the beginning of the year was Swerve Strickland and Ricochet in a number one contenders match for the AEW World title. That match, there was so much going on in that match, but you talk about the fact that you had Ricochet, who had stolen Prince Nana's robe going into that match.
That's right.
Right. And was wearing it. And then that was the night that he debuted with, by the way, that's the real embassy robe. There isn't a second one.
No.
There isn't we didn't like use a replica or.
No, that one's in a burning building and the building goes down. There's no more embassy robe.
Yeah, right. And Ricochet literally had his logo stitched onto the robe.
Yeah.
Oh.
Talk about a one of one. Upper Deck, you want to put something on. That's a one of one.
Yeah.
Bringing it back to the sponsors. My favorite moment of this was at the point where I had to tune into my two-way radio and tell someone in the truck, like, hey, can we tell Miss Jones to kind of quiet down a little bit? Yes! Because Leslie Jones was losing her freaking mind.
I'm so glad you brought this up. I'm so that is a landmark moment for me, just in AEW history.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, but it's like, oh, when someone is like, oh, you go.
Yeah. No, first of all, love Leslie Jones.
Who doesn't?
Down boots. Like, I love Leslie Jones. She's incredible. She's amazing. She's funny. She's hilarious. Like, I would love to work with her 1,000%. So to see her love us as much as I love her, and she just put it out there. It's like, nope, tonight I'm a fan, and she was
giving it to Ricochet.
Yes.
Like,
another pastime of mine, giving it to Ricochet, just giving him hell. Like, so for Leslie Jones to just be out there giving him a piece of her mind, that was probably one of my legitimately top 3 moments of the year.
I just love it because if this ever happens at like an indie show where like the guy in the crowd is taking attention away from the match, you like get legitimately mad, but you're like, it's okay, it's Leslie Jones. It's
Leslie
fine.
Jones.
She gets to do whatever she wants. And then it's like, Swerve's like, what is that? I was like, it's Leslie Jones. Like, oh, okay, cool. We just go back to wrestling.
There was a moment I was concerned she was going to jump the barricade.
Literally why I brought it up. I was like, I am concerned for all of the performers in the ring, myself included, because I don't think she understands that there's a separation between performance and audience here.
But you know what's funny though is I was sitting there watching that in Go. I believe I had a headset on, but like I was watching that match in Go, and it was one of those like you can't plan for that, but you were just watching it organically happen, and you're watching all the energy in the building. The fans were all over Ricochet at that point. You know,
rabid.
He's gotten
rabid.
They were rabid. She was like egging it on so much to where like the fans were all behind her and they were all giving it to Ricochet. And you know, the fact that the match ended the way it did with such a moment, and of course Swerve getting back the robe, and everybody knew that well, I feel like there was this feeling in the air that like, are Prince Nana and Swerve going to split up? Like, you know, everybody was seeing that going into this match, you know, because he lost the robe.
There was some
and then
tension.
when he got it, and when he got it back, like the pop when he got it back, it was like, I knew people were going to care about the reunion of Prince Nana and the robe. I didn't know how much. And it was just such a feel-good moment. It was a feel-good night. And yeah, just for you, Aubrey, being in the middle of all of that. And again, it's one of those things where wrestling, you know, Jimmy Jacobs used to tell me often that nothing in wrestling has happened until it's happened, right? We can write things down all day long. We can plan for things. We can have all these ideas. But until it's actually happened, nothing's actually happened. And I don't think anybody really knew exactly how this was all going to come off, what the reception to it was all going to be, and for it to be as electric as it was. And then again, like I said, I saw the match on the list, and I was like, "It'll Aubrey ref that." And so seeing that all come together, I thought was just really cool, and it had to have felt really good being in the middle of that.
It is, and also like as a note, like I've just always loved working with Swerve and Ricochet both. Like Ricochet, I showed him actually this year. In the lead up to this match where Swerve and Ricochet both showed up at a Defy show, I told Ricochet backstage he was the first person I ever paid money for to take a picture with. And I showed him the photo.
And then he proceeded to charge you again for a photo.
Yeah, for the conversation.
It's like, oh, damn it. Okay, well. But speaking of Ricochet and the year he's had, like, I would then want to talk about the next pay-per-view that happens after in a match I didn't ref, but I did get to actually see at Dynasty in Philly. We had Kenny Omega and Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey. And this led to one of my favorite moments and one of my favorite late night text messages to Tony Schiavone, which is where Ricochet is on headset talking about how great he is, blah, 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 blah. And then from out of the side, you just see a foot come in and pick the headset off. And Speedball picks up the headset and says, "I'm sorry, he had to be stopped." But my favorite thing was the one where the remake of the like the little GIF after of all of this happens, and then as soon as the foot hits Ricochet, it just says,
"We'll be right back."
"We'll be right back." Da-da-da-da. And I immediately send it to Tony Schiavone, and I've never gotten a laughing back so quickly in my life, and it was probably my favorite moment of all Dynasty, like just that happening.
Yeah, I mean, look, Dynasty was such a blast in Philly, but this is one of those matches that like AEW is kind of born for, right? Mm-hmm. That you think about the fact that Kenny Omega, Ricochet, and Speedball Mike Bailey a year prior to this were all in different companies, and actually, you know, Kenny was out, so like all three of them were not present in AEW in 2024. And so when you think about how 1 year later, we've now got for the International Championship, Kenny Omega defending the title against Ricochet and Speedball Mike Bailey, I thought was such a magical three-way. And it was one of the best matches of the year. I think it's one of my all-time favorite three-ways. To see what these guys were all able to do with each other, to see Ricochet tearing it up with Kenny, but then seeing Mike Bailey in there with Kenny, and then it was a blast. And to see Kenny Omega get to walk out on top, retain the international championship, it was very, very cool. As a fan watching that from backstage, I remember I think I was in the office at that point when that match was happening. That was one of those I had to sit and just stare at the screen. Yeah, and just take it all in. And it was amazing. Fantastic match.
That's definitely one of those ones you get caught up in and you're like, no, I'm working. I'm at work. I gotta refocus, because just to kind of circle back, and God, he's gonna have such a big head. Mike Bailey has had a phenomenal year.
Dude.
Like, the whole thing. Like, every time he goes out there, we always say, go out there, show out. He does that every single time.
Every time.
I'm so captivated by him and just his, I guess, lack of a better phrase, ingenuity. And oh my God, he wrestles barefoot. That makes me so nervous every time I see it.
Thank you.
Every time. I've trained barefoot, and you step wrong, or like the ropes. You hit your toe on a rope and he's flipping and flopping and But yeah, no, that was an amazing match from Dynasty, and there's a lot of amazing matches on Dynasty. The crowd in Philly, again, ravenous. They wanted everything, and I think we delivered. I think we gave them everything that we had.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we absolutely did. It was nice to finally bring a pay-per-view to Philly, even because it's the first time Philly ever got a pay-per-view, and it's like they showed out as we knew that they would. And there's so much more to talk about. I definitely want to talk about probably our biggest Anarchy in the Arena yet. But first, we got to take a break. So stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to talk about how the bodies hit the floor.
What's up, everybody? We are back. We are talking about the phenomenal year, the amazing year, some of our favorite moments from some of our favorite pay-per-views. Look, we're going to get this thing going right out the gate. I got to start hot. Anarchy in the Arena.
Dude.
Always a fun match, always a good time. But can I just talk about, like, my MVP of this one would be one Miss Willow Nightingale.
Ooh, look at that card.
Look at that card. Showing up in there in the mix with the likes of, goodness, who do we have here? We got Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli.
Another card.
Crazy match. You never know what's going to happen in an Anarchy in the Arena. Willow had the Young Bucks. And this was from Arizona. I believe our first pay-per-view
Wheeler
in
Yuta.
Arizona.
And look how we signed this card, by the way.
Yuta. Yuta.
And those are genuine signatures, by the way.
They are. We all sat in that same room in Vegas and signed all 700 of them.
But again, once again, I love when we get to bring our product to a crowd that's been clamoring for it, that's been wanting it. And we've been to Arizona a few times, but for them to have their first pay-per-view, there's nothing like being a performer. There's nothing in the world like it. We give you guys energy. The crowd gives us energy, and it's that cycle out there. This was nothing short of that. Watching it on television, seeing that energy come through, everybody went out there. They killed it. Like I said, we had Anarchy in the Arena. Outside of that, there was Kyle Fletcher, Konosuke Takeshita, Josh Alexander, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roderick Strong. Fantastic match there. We had the men's Owen Hart final.
Oh my God. God.
And the women's final. Like it was just, I want to talk about Anarchy in the Arena for a second, a little bit more, just because
this whole pay-per-view is stacked, but like this match,
we can spend the whole podcast talking about Anarchy in the Arena. So much stuff happened, but let's go ahead. Let's touch.
Because Anarchy in the Arena is always known for its music.
Yes.
But I think this year really, it's going to be hard to top.
Right.
This year when it comes to the music in Anarchy in the Arena. We of course start off with Pointer Sisters. I'm so excited. And
Kenny promptly saying nobody wants to hear that.
But the funny thing is, again, it's one of those, as I said before, you don't know what's going to happen until it happens. And I think, it was one of those, like, probably anticipating that the music was like not going to be all that well received, but the crowd was into it. They loved hearing it. I'm so excited. They thought that was it. And they were like so excited. Everybody's going crazy for I'm so excited. And then it was like, luckily what we had in front of that was even better, because Of course, Kenny's like, shut that off. And then let the bodies hit the floor plays. Bodies by Drowning Pool. And the crowd is just going insane. Everybody knew. You didn't even need to know the words necessarily. I know a lot of people. Yeah, all you needed to know how to do was count and scream. And as long as you can do that, you have got it with,
I do that
with bodies. Yes, you do.
Yes, you do. That's very much your song. Count and scream.
And yeah, it was just like moment after moment in that match was great. Ellis Edwards even got to kind of make a bit of a on-screen appearance in that.
Our stuntman.
Yeah, because he got to drive the forklift in that match because it turned out nobody was licensed to operate a forklift.
Yeah. So here's how I found out about that. I hear it on my headset. Hey, we're about to do the forklift spot. And I'm like, what? And I look over and there's a forklift. Anarchy in the Arena is it's one of those matches where it's a really fun surprise. And we're all fans, obviously. Like, I've paid money for a Ricochet photo, unfortunately. It is we're all fans of this and we want to enjoy it as much as we can. So intentionally, we sent Knox to the rehearsal and I'm like, I kind of don't want to know anything. Just tell me where I'm going to be. And he's like, you're with Claudio. I'm like, okay, cool, great. That's what we're doing. And then just getting to see everything happen as it happened so that we can enjoy it organically. Nyla put over Willow at the start of this segment, but she came out with a big black and Jack shirt. So her and Hobbs both there in the ring was friggin' awesome. But then on top of that, I don't know if anyone remembers this, she was chained to the turnbuckle through her ear. She has
I forgot about that. How do you forget about that? Because that's such an insane thing. Absolutely right.
Yep. And Swerve got his tongue stapled.
Yep.
And then, of course, gets backstage and makes sure to show us all there's a legitimate staple in his tongue.
I saw it.
Oh, he'll show you. Oh, he'll show you.
That's the best part about wrestling, right? Is they're like, look at this stupid thing I did.
No, this was so great. It was one of those things where, of course, every Anarchy in the Arena that I've ever gotten to be around for, and this was my 23, 24, 25. So this is my third. Yeah, this is my third Anarchy in the Arena I got to be around for. And it's you just desperately want to make sure everybody's okay. I'm just running up to everybody after the match are you good? Please tell me you're good. Yeah.
It's the question we normally only reserve for Darby. We ask everybody.
Yeah. You had to ask of everybody, right? Because it's the year before Jack Perry got set on fire. And so you definitely want to make sure everybody's okay after that match. But yeah, this was another one where I just want everybody to be okay.
Right. And Double or Nothing was a packed show. As Nyla had mentioned, we had the Owen Hart finals for both the women's and the men's. Right. And the men's final being Hangman and Will Ospreay led to Hangman getting the number one contendership and eventually winning the title against Jon Moxley at All In Texas in probably what was one of the happiest endings I think I've ever experienced in my entire life. And that sounds like a hyperbole, but it's not. Yeah. I don't remember the last time I've looked at someone and hoped that they opened a suitcase as fast as they humanly could. I'm in a lot of airports, people.
I will be the first to say that there's an AEW World Championship sitting right behind me. I think it is the most gorgeous World Championship. I think it's the most gorgeous belt in professional wrestling.
I agree.
And it pained me to not see it for 8 months, right?
Yes.
To it just wasn't on our screens. The World Championship, the belt we all know and love, the most beautiful championship. We don't get to see it. But I will say, when he pulled it out of that briefcase and the crowd erupted, I was like, all right, yeah, worth it. Really worth it to not see it, to go that long without seeing it, and then to see the championship come out. And again, it was just such a moment. I was being there in Texas and feeling the energy of that crowd and how badly they just wanted Hangman to win. And earlier in the night, I was a big fan of Hangman's bad guy look, and watching him get rid of the stash earlier in the night, I was like, oh man, I'm gonna miss it. But I will say, all of it was worth it. When his old music hit and the crowd was, and the crowd was excited for that, and they just wanted to see Jon Moxley finally lose the AEW World Championship. And they weren't even sure. There were so many people, I remember going, oh, but this is a rematch. We've seen Moxley and Hangman in a Texas death match, and the last time we saw it, Hangman won. They couldn't possibly do that again.
Yep, but it's bigger stakes, and also Darby's propelling down from Everest.
Yes.
And listen, you hit the nail on the head, right? Moment. It was a moment. It's an iconic moment. Like everything about that, everything that surrounded that was just absolutely iconic. The cowboy returning, our hero, getting to finally lay eyes. Because what did Mox say when he put together the Death Riders? Nobody deserves to see this. Well, the one person who did deserve it gave it to everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He shared that moment with all of us, meaning we all were deserving. It was such a beautiful, poetic moment.
It was.
That's why he's the main character.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then on the other side of that, we got to see Will Ospreay and Swerve take on the Young Bucks in another match that was just insane. And, it's a match that we're all still just now getting over kind of the repercussions of. Like, we talk about matches that had kind of long-term implications. To defeat the Young Bucks, who had their EVP status on the line. And of course, they lost that EVP status. Then we had to watch the Young Bucks suffer the consequences of no longer having the status of EVPs until it finally turned them around into the Matt and Nick that we've wished we could have seen all this time again.
Yep.
But the match was off the charts, and I think at every turn the fans were biting on every single near fall. I remember people thinking the possibility of, there's no way the Young Bucks, like they're founders of this company, there's no way that the Young Bucks could lose their EVP status. What are the Young Bucks that aren't EVPs?
Everything's possible in wrestling.
Yeah, but you
never say never. I gotta say that I loved watching them be tortured. Don't tell them. Don't tell them I said that. Don't tell them I said that. Just week after week after week of just don't tell them I said that.
Yeah. Hey, they're not EVPs anymore. You can say whatever you want. But no, I think that's what made it so beautiful is that as they came out of this match, we got to see a better tag team out of Matt and Nick than we've ever seen. And I think that the year that they've had as a team, the matches that they've had without any of the bullshit hanging over it. There's no controversies. There's no status. None of that. People just see them as professional wrestlers. And seeing them as professional wrestlers, you got to kind of appreciate them again. And I think that's why we have the Young Bucks we do today of, all of a sudden they're cheered again. They're fan favorites. They're a team that you're like, you know what? We do want to see you go after the tag titles again because now you don't get to just put yourself there. You had to earn it. And you are a tag team that's worthy of that. And they've always been a tag team that's worthy of that. But to now, again, like I said, this match had so many implications, so much long-term stuff that came out of it that when you go back and watch it, it was already an excellent match. But to know what came out of that, I think this has been one of the Young Bucks' best years of their careers.
Oh, I'll easily co-sign that.
Yeah, I'll sign that too. All right. Well, there's so much more to talk about. We could do a whole episode just on All in Texas. There's a lot. So let's take a quick break. Let our sponsors get a couple words in, and then we'll be back to talk about more of the fun stuff that we remember from all the pay-per-views this last year in 2025 here on AEW Unrestricted. AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey, Will, Nyla. We're talking 2025 in the year of pay-per-views. There are so many pay-per-views in a year, and I feel like we're not doing it justice being able to talk about just like our favorite episode, our favorite matches that we've seen, but just touching here and there on a couple things. Like we talked about All In, but like we didn't even talk about Dustin Rhodes winning a title. We didn't even talk about Toni Storm and Mercedes facing off in one of the greatest women's matches in wrestling history. There's so much going on, but like we got to keep going because there's all these other amazing things that had happened. And I was reminded that because I had completely forgotten until I read the notes, that at one point we have the dream match of FTR versus Christian Cage and Adam Copeland happening in Toronto, of all places. And then all of a sudden you just see the word Beth on the Tron. And everybody loses their minds because if you know at all a little bit about wrestling, you know what's happening here. And then Beth Copeland just runs down to the ring looking like the freaking glamazon that she is. And it's absolutely incredible. And she took a crazy freaking bump.
Right out the gate.
Right out of the gate. It was great because I had no idea this was happening. But at one point, I'm sitting in makeup and it's like Salem's doing my makeup. And then Aniris, one of our artists, just goes, so Beth's going to get in my chair. And Aniris is a big, big wrestling fan. So she like knows who Beth is. And Beth comes over and like hands her one of her like headbands. And like Aniris is like, oh, I remember what this is from. And it's just really fun getting these moments where you realize that everyone backstage too is as big of a fan of this as we are. It's not just the people on the screen, it's everyone who's a part of the product, whether they're putting makeup on faces, whether they're building ramps for classic cars to drive up, whether they're cutting up pieces of chairs to send to Upper Deck to put in our cars. So regardless of what their role is on the show, we're all fans and we can all appreciate these little tiny details here and there that just make everything feel so special. And it's like we already had this amazing like dream tag team match happening in the hometown of two of these guys. And then you have one of the greatest women's wrestlers of all time come in and take a friggin' pile driver. Incredible.
But then we got to see that night the crowning moment for the AEW Women's World Champion, Kris Statlander, who's, she's been in AEW for so long. And it was one of those things where you weren't sure when her moment was finally going to come. And for it to happen at All Out in this four-way, Toni Storm, of course, walked in, AEW Women's World Champion. And it was a match that I think a lot of people saw could go anyway. It was a four-way with, again, we mentioned Toni Storm, Kris Statlander, also with Jamie Hayter and Tekla. And then in the end, Kris Statlander becomes the AEW Women's World Champion for the first time.
But not only that, she pinned Toni Storm. And I think that's one of the big things going into this is like all of the like wrestling nerds here are like, well, you don't have to pin the champion to become the champion. The fact she pinned the champion, I think is a big statement that came out of this match. Like all of us have known Kris for a very, very long time. Some of us have known her since the indies, right? And we know the hard worker she is. I literally saw her get off of a plane getting into Cardiff. And instead of going to take a nap, she went to go do cardio before work because that's the kind of person that Kris Statlander is, right? So for all of us to see that, it's like, there's no doubt in our mind. It's like, oh, of course she pinned the champion because she is the champion. She's the best women's wrestler we have at the company, hands down. And like, I was so proud. I get really prideful when I count some pins, when I know something's happening that's really special. And it's like, this is one of those ones where it's like, Toni had done this incredible thing with this title, right? And had made it so important. She had given Mercedes Moné her first loss at the company at All In just like couple months prior. And then to see her hand the title to Statlander, who's someone who has completely had to change her wrestling style after 2 blown out knees. It's just kind of like that little moment is a great microcosm of like what makes wrestling awesome. And it's all of the people that behind it that make it happen and make it special.
Yeah. I was so proud to see Kris Statlander have that moment and get to be crowned AEW Women's World Champion. And again, like you said, hardest working, honestly, one of the hardest working people in all of AEW.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just like, look, getting to do that pay-per-view again in Toronto was really cool. But then getting to swing back around into, we had Wrestle Dream in October and in St. Louis. And again, that was, it's just an incredible night. We saw the reunion of Jurassic Express, who had gotten back together at All Out, and see them up against the Young Bucks. And it was like, I remember the nerves around that match because, Jack Perry had been out of action for a year. And for the year prior to that, he was working as a heel. Mm-hmm. And heel Jack Perry was very, very different from that kind of explosive, exciting Jack Perry that we've gotten to know. And so when you think about, he worked as a heel for a year, was out of action for a year. And so really there was like over 2 years, almost 3, since the last time he had gotten to do this type of match again. And to get in there with the Young Bucks, who better to start out again with than with the Young Bucks to see Jurassic Express back. And they just tore the house down.
As they would.
Yeah, the crowd was all over Matt and Nick. They were chanting, EBT at them, food stamps.
The broke bucks.
The broke
Yeah.
bucks.
No, as soon as Nick came through the curtain, he was like, "What were they chanting out there?" I was like, "That was EBT," and he's like, "Oh, got it."
Wrestling fans are very creative with their chants.
Yes. But it was great. It was great to see those guys back together and to see them do it the way that they got to do it was just incredible stuff. But then, we get to, two other matches I want to talk about from that night was Jamie Hayter and Tekla. I thought Jamie Hayter and Tekla also had an incredible match. And what was so important about this particular match is that, a lot of times we've rarely gotten to see women's matches that don't have a title involved on pay-per-view. And but when the times that we haven't, or the times that we have, you've got to put a little bit extra on it because the stakes still have to be felt. We've seen examples of that with like Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander at All Out in 24. And I thought Jamie and Tekla took that spot and ran with it, and I thought that they absolutely killed it in that spot. And I came out of that saying that I think the Jamie Hayter of today, I think, is more worthy of being the top woman of the division than the Jamie Hayter of before. And I thought the Jamie Hayter of before was excellent, but like she is just on a whole other level. But really, that night, the thing everybody came away talking about was the I Quit match, Darby Allin and Jon Moxley.
Ooh, buddy. Ooh.
Are we going there? Are we going there?
I mean, look, I never thought I was going to see a drowning in a professional wrestling ring, but here we are.
Here we are.
And here's where, Moxley didn't do his research, right? Because Darby, having climbed Mount Everest, has a really good lung capacity.
Yes.
So really, Jon Moxley is the one who made the bad decision, because Darby could have stayed under for far longer, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah,
in a human amount of time longer. But even still, watching that, pro wrestling is all about the moments, the visuals, and how we connect to the audience. On some level, we all have a relationship with water. Either we all go swimming every summer, you take a bath, you take a shower, you ever yawn in the shower and get that, take a sip during a podcast. You ever yawn, get a little bit of water in your mouth and it goes down the wrong pipe. And so I think everybody kind of knowing what that could have felt like created this tension that was just palpable, that everybody around the world could relate to, and just instantly uncomfortable. Like the second I saw that come out, I started getting squirmy. I think this was one of the ones I was hosting on one of our pay-per-view partners.
Yeah.
And even in the chat, I had to remind myself to keep typing because I was so locked in and engrossed. I was like, where is this going? Oh, right. I need to engage. But still gives me the heebie-jeebies for sure. One of the most interesting, creative moments in a wrestling match that wasn't directly around water.
Right? There was no water. They put the water there.
Yes.
They brought it to them. Oh, wow.
Yep. And then Sting. And then old man Sting shows up.
And then Darby, you see the passing of the torch, right? The bat.
It was a baseball bat, not a torch, but
It's kind of the same idea.
The passing of the bat.
Yes. It's the thing that he stands and says, like a torch almost, but metaphorically speaking. But yeah.
And Sting looked awesome, by the way, with the beard and the...
Brother,
Sting doesn't ever not look awesome.
Sure, but I was not anticipating how great he was going to look.
If Sting did not have a future in signings, he has a future in department store Santas. I'm just going to say, he is so patient, and he is kinder to everybody, even when they don't deserve it. And he's rocking the white beard, dude. Old man Sting is the best version of Sting. I'm going to say. It might be a controversial opinion, but
I'm a fan.
Yeah, big fan. Big fan of Old Man Sting.
Yep. And then I want to round this out talking about Full Gear and really what I thought was one of the best crowning moments of the year, and that was seeing Mark Briscoe become the TNT champion.
This felt so good, right? Like knowing that, like, yes, we've seen Mark Briscoe achieve, singles goals on ROH, but there's something different when it's AEW, and it's something different when it's pay-per-view, and it's something different when it's something that has eluded you time and time again. Probably my favorite moment of this, outside of like the sheer scream I let out in catering when the screwdriver came out, was watching Mark Briscoe casually talk about how proud he was of winning this, and just a drop of blood starting to drop from his head during the post-show press conference, just casually bleeding in the middle of having like a very heartfelt and wonderful moment expressing like what it meant to him and everything. Absolutely loved it.
In the most Mark Briscoe manner possible.
It's it's like exactly what you would expect to see him if you just randomly ran into him at work. Like, oh, hey, what's going on? And he's just randomly bleeding.
It was a completely bloody affair. And for him to get that moment in New Jersey over Kyle Fletcher, who, was killing it as TNT champion. Like, he could have very well continued that reign well into 2026. And as far as he was concerned, could have been well into 2027. But for Mark Briscoe to get that moment in New Jersey, crowd going insane, getting to see Mark Briscoe walk away with the championship, and then getting the custom belt, which, I have multiple TNT championships over here. I try to get my hand. Yeah, best one. It's the best looking one. Easily the best looking one. And I think he's been an excellent champion since. And I think, again, it just kind of encapsulates what's been such a great year of pay-per-view for AEW, and what's been such a great year in matches. And I can't believe how much fun we've gotten to have going from city to city, seeing and giving new cities new pay-per-view, getting you mentioned Glendale, Arizona, and like I remember when we first hit Phoenix the first time. And the opening match of the show starts with a holy shit chant just because they were excited to see it. The match hadn't even happened
touched yet.
Yeah, hadn't even touched yet, but they just started with a holy shit chant.
The show just started, and they were like, yeah.
And that was like, all right, these guys need a pay-per-view. Like, it was like, and they were electric the whole night through. But then, talking about getting to see the crypto.com for the first time. And, we just announced that going into next year, we're going to be in Vancouver for a pay-per-view. This is such a cool time. And 2025 was such a cool time to be an AEW fan. It was really just a top to bottom excellent year. And the only way we could possibly top that is do what we do best in 2026.
It's where the best wrestle. It's going to be... Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, we say it time and time again, broken records. How can we possibly top it? And we're like 6 years in, brother. Like, we're going to find a way. And it's like, I can't imagine the ridiculous thing that we'll be talking about this time next year, where people that we work with will continue to blow our minds in new and interesting ways that we never thought fathomable before. And that's just the beauty of professional wrestling. It's one of the reasons why I love working at this company. And it's one of the reasons why I love working with both of you. And I'm so happy we got to do this today.
Two things real quick that to kind of tied back to you about blowing the mind. We talked about so much and we barely scratched the surface.
Barely.
Like, we've barely scratched the surface. I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the timestamp. I'm looking at my notes here and I'm like, this could easily be a series.
Yeah.
And we still wouldn't even get through all of it. And then real quick story, kind of tied back just because it's a fun one. Rachel Elling's going to kill me. The first time when we were in Arizona, we were heading over to the arena and it was, because of the time difference, it was like well early. It was like 10 in the morning. We were going to the arena, getting a little bit of training and kind of see what the day had for us. And I thought she went up to a hot dog cart man and was buying like a hot dog before she got on the talent bus. But it was the valet for the keys to a car. And I genuinely, I was like, did you just buy a hot dog? And she just looks at me and goes, no, why would I do that?
Incredible.
So I thought that was a fun little story.
Fun little story. I love Is it weird that like every time I think of the LA and crypto.com arena, I think of hot dog carts?
A little bit. I kind of
I
want
don't
to
know.
know.
There's a whole E3 story there. I'll tell you some other time. Anyway, this was an awesome episode. I'm so glad we got to talk about all this. Thank you, Nyla Rose, for joining us today after like 4 failed attempts that people didn't see. We all finally made it.
fourth time's a charm, baby.
4 times a charm. Technical difficulties, bad hotel internet, lost baggage. Who knows? We make it happen.
Computer's not turning on at all.
Oh my God. But we did it. We're here. This is an awesome episode of AEW Unrestricted. If you don't already follow Nyla online, you're doing yourself a disservice. Please just follow her. Instagram and Twitter, Nyla Rose Beast. AEW Unrestricted is sponsored by Upper Deck. The 2025 AEW SP game use set is available now. It's the first ever AEW release, packed with autographed tech cards and real match relics pulled straight from the ring, including championship gear, chairs, event-worn banners, one-of-one forks from Texas, that match we talked about. You can grab your box at a local hobby store, hit upperdeck.com to find a store near you. You can listen to and follow this podcast, AEW Unrestricted, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all of the fun podcast apps. You can check out video episodes on your YouTube channel at AEW Unrestricted. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And fun fact, I'm working on the AEW Insider newsletter for the next few months while Caitlin's out on maternity leave. So if you're not already an insider, you should definitely subscribe because you can get access to ticket pre-sales, special merchandise offers, and more straight to your inbox. Sign up today, AEWTix.com. Don't forget Dynamite on TBS Wednesdays night, 8 p.m. and streaming on HBO Max. AEW Collision live every Saturday on TNT. ROH streams every Thursday on Honor Club. I'm Aubrey Edwards. He's Will Washington. She's Nyla Rose. Thank you so much for listening. See you next time. Peace.